Hey everybody, how you doing? Sean Connors, CEO and co-founder with E-Team Sponsor. On for a little spring football talk. We're on with Rich Wright, head football coach at Northwest Missouri State. Coach, thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
All right, good deal. Hey, jumping right into it. You guys raised money in the spring. You guys have had a lot of success. Looking over here, it looks like about $150,000 you guys have been able to raise during spring campaigns. Talk to us about just maybe philosophically, why do you guys choose to raise money in the spring?
Right. So for us, it's difficult to do during the season with all the constraints that not only our players, but we as coaches have as well. And so the spring has always made a little bit more sense. We're a university of about 8,000 students, but we're in a community of about 12,000. And there's a lot of fidelity here in terms of the community. But one of the things that we tried to tackle is our community gets hit a lot. And so this is the one event we do a year where we get our kids involved. And how we do it is we have them create contacts with family members, businesses, those types of things where they're from. And what it allows us to do is it allows us to tie in back to our community. So everything is tied to the idea that we do a community cleanup here.
Yeah.
So they're basically sponsoring our kids. So we go out. One of our coaches puts sign up sheets at the local churches, and it's actually for elderly people that can't do the work themselves. And
Got it.
so it's a way for us to give back to the community and also create a fundraiser for ourselves.
Wow, that's really cool. So it's the spring cleanup workathon.
Yeah, you got it.
Got it. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Well, Coach, you certainly the reason behind it. I think you've got a great why. That's amazing. The proceeds, the money that it comes
Uh-huh.
in. What have you guys been able to do with the funds?
Well, what we try to do is, obviously in this day and age with expenses going haywire and budgets being what they are, it's become a way for us to continue to do some really nice things for our kids in terms of gear, and just the things that they want to have, be it sweatshirts and hats and cleats, gloves, just all those extras that sometimes as a Division II football program you don't have a budget for. And
Yeah.
so what it allows us to do is do some really nice stuff for our kids, and it lessens the load on my budget as well.
Got it. Got it. And then, kind of the how fundraising really impacts your program. I know we've talked to coaches across the country and they say sometimes it allows for better conversations when it does come to budget planning with administration,
Right.
knowing that they've had successful fundraising activities or they're generating revenue during the off season. Has that helped to impact your program anyway or that way, or just transforming your program? You guys obviously are, you're a national power. Everybody knows at the D2 level, you guys are, you're one of the best. But how has that maybe transformed your program?
Willie, I just think it alleviates some of the burden that the institution has to try and, raise funds each and every year. We obviously, I talked about, we use it for some of the stuff that our kids get, but it also goes towards other things. And having a skin in the game when you're talking to your finance people, I think is advantageous. They see that you're out working and trying to help lighten the load, so to speak, for the institution.
Yeah.
And with some of the other things that we have to do that aren't budgeted. Yeah, we've been pretty good here historically, and so playoffs and things like that. Those aren't, the NCAA only covers that to a certain point,
Yeah.
and there's really not a line item budget for that. So just some of those other things that happen throughout the year, having some resources that you can utilize is obviously advantageous.
That's awesome. That's great, Coach. Awesome. Well, good. Well, that's perfect. I mean, we got everything that we'd want to add to the blog, so that's perfect.
Okay.
Um, last thing I'd ask you just real quick, just in terms of spring practice, when do you guys when does spring practice start? When does this spring cleanup workathon, what's the mechanics of it? How do you fit that in? I'm just curious.
Sure. What we're going to do here next week, we
Okay.
start the mailers,
Okay.
and we'll get everybody loading the emails and the social media pieces into their accounts, and we do the actual cleanup in April. So
Okay. Got
we try and give it enough time so that people can do the donations and everybody can get where they need to be as far as that's concerned. And then in April we take a Saturday and do it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you guys just pick one day in April, and then is it like kind of, does it line up with the end of spring practice, or is it just kind of a date?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Got
My
it.
challenge is we graduate so early here. We're
Okay.
graduating before the end of April. So
Whoa.
I'm really time constrained for
Got
trying to get spring practice in. You throw Easter weekend in there too. And so there's only a couple weekends where you can do it. And so we just try and plug it in.
got it. Got it. Awesome. Well, Coach Wright, we really appreciate you popping on. This is awesome.